Every day, big tech decides what you see. What you see shapes what you believe. And when a handful of companies control both, things get dangerous. But don't worry, I'm sure billionaires with ad revenue targets would never influence how you think. Right? It's not that these tech leaders are sitting in a room deciding what's right and wrong like some kind of modern day philosophy club. It's much more boring than that.
It's a group of men in $500 hoodies sitting in a boardroom in Silicon Valley looking at a spreadsheet and deciding that your grandma's peace of mind is a fair price to pay for a 2% increase in ad clicks. Sounds reasonable. No? Okay.
They're building systems that decide what we see, what we hear, and eventually what we believe. And if that's true, then the real question isn't whether they are controlling the narrative. The real question is who is actually shaping your worldview right now.
Because whether you like it or not, the version of reality is being filtered. Not by governments, not by academics, but by a handful of companies led by people like Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and Sam Altman. And if you're thinking, that sounds a bit dramatic, don't worry. We're about to make it much, much worse.
Think about it. You wake up, you check your feed, and every single post reinforces what you already believe. Not because it's true, not because it's balanced, but because it keeps you scrolling.
No way! I'm a free thinker. This doesn't include me, right? Does it? Yeah? Unfortunately, platforms like Meta and Twitter didn't get to this point by accident. They were designed to optimize for engagement, and it turns out the fastest way to keep people engaged is to show them things they already agree with, or things that make them just angry enough to stay.
The consequence of this isn't just a bit of online arguing. Reality itself becomes personalized. Facts becomes optional. Society begins to fragment into completely different belief systems.
Look, a few years ago, when we became entrepreneurs, we actually predicted that this would become one of the biggest challenges our society would face. The signs are already there, but we really wanted to be wrong about this. Unfortunately, we weren't.
Now people aren't just disagreeing, they are living in entirely separate realities. Was the COVID vaccine dangerous? Or was it the reason the pandemic ended? Is immigration helping or hurting economies? Is climate change real or exaggerated?
At this point, you can almost predict someone's answer to these questions based on something completely unrelated, like whether they think meat is essential in their diet. And that's not a healthy debate anymore. That's fragmentation. And once society can't agree on basic facts, you don't just get disagreement, you get instability.
When people use tools from companies like OpenAI or Google, they are not just getting answers, they are getting filtered answers. Answers shaped by training data, moderation, politics, alignment decisions, and most importantly, corporate risk tolerance. Scale that to billions of people asking questions like, what's right, what's true, and what should I do? And suddenly, AI isn't just a tool.
Cultural nuance gets flattened into safe, broadly acceptable defaults, and minority perspectives risk being filtered out entirely. People love to say AI is biased, and that's true. But the deeper issue is that bias doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It comes from somewhere.
And right now, that somewhere is a small group of companies in Silicon Valley deciding what is safe, acceptable, and commercially viable.
What's interesting is that people are quick to criticize AI when it hallucinates, but much slower to question something like Google, which has been quietly shaping what people see for years.
When you search on Google, you're given multiple results, which makes it feel like you're in control, because you're the one carefully selecting the best source, right? In reality, Google has already done most of the filtering for you. Its algorithms rank content based on relevance, authority, engagement, and user behavior.
So you're not seeing the truth, you're seeing the version of truth that performs best within Google's system. And once that system is personalized based on your location, search history, and behavior, you're not really searching the internet anymore. The internet is searching you.
Then there is the decision of who gets a voice in the first place. Take Elon Musk and his approach to X. By reinstating controversial figures and shifting moderation policies, he's effectively reshaping what conversations are allowed to happen on one of the world's largest platforms. Whether you agree with those decisions or not is almost irrelevant.
The key point is that a single leadership decision can instantly change global discourse like that. And this has very real consequences. Extremes can be amplified or suppressed depending on leadership. Free speech, well, it becomes a moving target. Public conversation becomes dependent on the platform you're using.
More controversy leads to more engagement, and more engagement leads to more revenue. So something that sounds like free speech still operates within a business model.
Who would have thought Elon Musk cares about money? Well, I'm shocked. Absolutely. Next you'll be telling me he doesn't spend his weekends prioritizing humanity over quarterly growth metrics.
Look at his AI Grok. There have already been controversies around the chatbots producing extreme or questionable outputs, including responses praising figures like Hitler. Let that sink in.
And under pressure to boost engagement, they relax controls on sexual content. Because, well, nothing says, I'm building the future of intelligence. Quite like turning your multi-billion-dollar platform into the digital equivalent of a back alley behind a Soho neon shop.
Not exactly the brand positioning most companies aim for. This shows that AI is no longer neutral. It has a tone, a personality, and sometimes even a stance. That's a fundamental shift. It means users will increasingly choose AI systems that aligns with their own beliefs.
And we're already seeing signs of this. People are already leaving Twitter, for example, because they perceive it as more right-leaning and moving to alternatives like Blue Sky, which feel more aligned to their views. So, same internet, but completely different realities.
This leads to the most uncomfortable part of the conversation. Leaders like Mark, Sam, and Elon influence billions of people. They operate across borders and make decisions that affect elections, speech, and access to information. And yet they're neither elected nor globally regulated.
The result is that private companies start to function like a layer of global governance. Ethics become corporate decisions rather than societal ones, and regulation is constantly playing catch up. It sounds dramatic, I know, and when you say it out loud, almost like a conspiracy theory. But the reality is, these individuals built systems so powerful that influencing the world, well, became unavoidable.
So where does this leave us? We're not living in some dystopian nightmare controlled by evil masterminds. At least I don't think so.
But we're also not living in a neutral, objective system where truth naturally rises to the top.
We're living in something far more complicated. A world where a handful of tech leaders don't decide what's true, but they do decide how truth is distributed. And that might be even more powerful. Because once you control what people see, you don't need to control what they think. They will do that part themselves.